All right, welcome back to Fantasy Football Coffee Break, helping you win your league. No Sal this week, or this time, but we are going to go over some fun things today. Going to go over an 8-team draft that I recently did. Looking forward to projections on a 12-team draft, where I'm drafting number 1 overall, and we'll preview the AFC North, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and Los Browns. So let's get started. Alrighty, so in my 8-team league, it's an 8-team church league. So I've drafted Cooper Kupp, let this cup pass for me, if it be your will. Let's go over the draft that I did. Draft recap, So first round, I drafted 8. I went 8 and then 9. I went back-to-back. I went Jamar Chase. Let's go by team. I went Jamar Chase, then Justin Jefferson. Back-to-back seemed like a pretty good combo for me. I know Chase has some issues with his contract, so I think I got a value on him from there. And then Justin Jefferson, of course, is one of my all-time favorites. And sitting there at 9, it was between him for me and A.J. Brown, because I'm high on A.J. Brown. Lots of running backs taken. I'm not big on Saquon, so I wasn't going to draft Saquon. Jonathan Taylor, same thing. He was already taken. Amon-Ra, my guy, was already taken. So the 2 best players on the board were Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Then 24-25, I decided to mix it up a little because it's 4th round. So I went James Cook, and then I went Josh Allen, which I've never, ever drafted Josh Allen before. Normally, I like waiting on quarterback, but I decided, I'm doing 3 leagues. Let's have some fun and draft Josh Allen. 5th round, Devon Achane. That I think is a sweet value for him. He's my RB2, which means I've already got good value. I've already got 2 stud wide receivers, feeling really good. And then 41, my 6th rounder, Cooper Kupp, hence the name. And I really, really like Kupp this year, especially if he is your wide receiver 3. I feel like he's going to get similar work to Nacua, maybe a little less. Now, obviously, he's more injury prone over the last couple of years, but his rapport with Stafford is phenomenal. In the 7th round, this is an 8-team draft. That's why it's so deep. Ken Walker, the 3rd. He'll be a nice one. I went ahead and drafted Malik Neighbors, mainly so I can name my team Love Your Neighbor as Yourself. Love Your Neighbors. I don't know. Kyle Pitts. So this is one of the things in a small league that's going to be a little different from other leagues. You kind of got to know your league. Everyone drafted 2 tight ends. So I'm like, okay, I missed on my guy. I missed on Trey McBride, the guy I'm targeting more than anyone. So no problem. I can get Kincaid a little later. Well, he's taken. I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait for Jake Ferguson, the 9th pick. No, Ferguson's taken. People are all drafting 2 tight ends.
That's so dumb, it makes me mad.
So I had to go ahead and grab Kyle Pitts. I think he'll be better this year, so I'm not too worried about this, but just know your league. Rashee Rice, love him. I think he's a steal. Same with Deontay Johnson. He fell pretty far, surprisingly, all the way to 89. Javonte Williams, I think, will be fine. DeAndre Hopkins, as I said previously, I like him a lot. Singletary, I like a lot. And then Young Goku and the Bears defense. The Bears defense is the defense I'm targeting. So overall, really like this. Feels like an A-plus draft, but you never know till the season starts. Maybe Jefferson does not have a good connection since JJ is out with Sam Darnold.
No! No!
Maybe Jamar Chase will hold out.
No!
So I don't know. It just depends. Now, I do have a 12-team draft coming up. And that's going to be a little more interesting because, with the 8-team draft, you can take some chances, have a little bit of fun because there's so much depth at 8-team where in 12-team, especially 12-team keeper league, it's not going to be the same. So I got to alter my draft strategy a little bit. So let's look at these pre-rankings. So with my number 1 pick, I'm actually going to go CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to go ahead and assume that he is signed his contract and he'll be fine. So I'm thinking CeeDee Lamb for sure. Now, this is a keeper league as part of the reason I'm doing this. I'll get him for 3 seasons. So part of it, a little worried about McCaffrey's injury, but then also Lamb, if I get him for 3 years, I don't think McCaffrey will be as effective in 3 seasons. Now, with the 12 team, if you're drafting number 1, that means you got to scroll all the way down to 24 for your next pick. Now, in the mock drafts, I've been getting, one of these James Cook, Joe Mixon, Devon Achane, and I think Drake London or Devontae Adams will be available. This is a league with a lot of Aggies, so Mike Evans will be gone, and a league with a lot of Swifties. So I think Travis Kelce will be gone as well. So that means, boom, boom, those two are gone. I should get either London or Adams, and James Cook, Mixon, Achane. Achane probably gone too because of Aggies. But then you got to scroll down again for your next pick. And all of a sudden, you are, you're way down the list. So you really got to fill up on the skill positions early. It's just, you don't want to bite heavy on a quarterback too early, but you may not want to be too late on quarterback either. Now, my next picks are 48 and 49. So who is available at 48 and 49? As I've written and as I've said, I'm really big on waiting on quarterbacks, mainly because Kyler Murray and Jordan Love are available. But honestly, if Lamar is available here, which I do not believe he will be, I think that'd be a fine pick in the 4th and 5th round. But I'm probably targeting McBride here. If I get Lamar, great. If not, okay. And then this is kind of a dead zone for me. Don't like Brooks, don't like White, don't like Kincaid if I'm already drafting McBride. Zay Flowers should be fine. Calvin Ridley, maybe. Tank Dell, I like a lot. But if I'm going one running back, I might do James Conner there. I haven't decided. Even though he's good value. The other ones, so then my next picks will be picks 72 and 73. So you got to scroll down who's available in this range. So what I'm targeting here is one of Rashee Rice, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, whichever one of those is still available. And here's where Kyler Murray goes for me in this round, if available. If he's taken, then I'm going to wait for the next round and see if I can get Jordan Love here at pick 99. Because I have 96, 97. But yeah, it's going to be tricky. I might have to go quarterback there regardless. But if I can get Mostert or Singletary, those are a couple hero RB strategies I'm targeting later on in the draft. After those 90s, now we're in 120, 121 range. If Chase Brown is there, awesome. If not, that's fine. But in this 120, 121, Ty Chandler, I think, will be good. As far as backups are concerned, who will have a real role. Khalil Shakir, I'm looking at. And then, of course, I've been talking big, thinking Rico Dowdle will be good. And, of course, Chuba Hubbard is one of my main guys. He's going a lot earlier in drafts now that people realize they're going to be out. But I don't even know where he's listed at. There he is, 173. So that might be where I take Chuba, mainly because for the first 4 weeks, man, you're getting an RB2 with some RB1 upside, considering that in Tampa Bay, Rachaad White got all the carries. So depending on where you're drafting, your strategy will have to change. Number 1 overall, I'm looking for probably going to receiver 1, the best of those running backs 2, another receiver 3, maybe tight end 4. I haven't decided RB2 or not, but I feel like there's some good depth available in those rounds to where I feel like number 1 overall is actually not a bad place to pick to get strong depth.
A few moments later.
Alrighty, enough of that. Let's preview the AFC North. While I'm at it, my church fantasy football names, CD Lamb of God, Thy rod and Stafford come for me, Love thy neighbors, Let this cup pass from me, Trey Sermon on the Mount. The usual. Alrighty, AFC North. All right, let's start with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not drafting Russell Wilson if he's their quarterback.
Hey, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Justin Fields will be interesting if he gets the start. I'm thinking he will, but if he gets the start, then Jaylen Warren is out for me. If Russ gets the start, then Jaylen Warren looks like an interesting upside play, because you think about it, he is very efficient with his carries and explosive, but if he doesn't get the ball, because running quarterbacks do not dump it off to running backs, so that's the big issue there. Najee Harris, disappointing last year, but he should fit this scheme really nicely. I kind of like him as a value pick if I miss on some other targets. we'll see if he's available. They added Cordarrelle Patterson, who Arthur Smith loves. He should get enough carries just to frustrate you. George Pickens, wide receiver 52, 28 overall, wide receiver 30 last year. He had 10 games under 10 points, and 4 games over 20. So very boom or bust. But if Russ is starting and Russ can still throw the deep ball, he has a lot of talent. So he should get talents and targets. But if it's Fields, I'm not liking it as much. He's a buy for me if he's your wide receiver 3. He has some league winning potential as far as those big games, but those bust games make me nervous. Tight end 14, Pat Freiermuth. Later, if you're in a 12-team league and he's your guy, that should be fine. Baltimore, the MVP of the league, Lamar Jackson. Huge win for me at quarterback last year. I like him again this year, being drafted at quarterback 4. He was quarterback 3 last year in points per game. It took him a minute to get the offense going. Whenever you get a new offense, it takes a minute. Think of Dak last year. Think of Lamar last year. But once they get it, it starts clicking. Man, he should be top 3 again this year. He's drafted 44th overall. Average draft position right now is 39.7. A little rich, but like I said, if I can get him in the 4th, 5th round, dude, I'm taking that in a 12-team league. Yeah! Henry's now the running back. Gus Edwards last season finished RB25. And no offense to Gus Edwards, but this is King Henry, who finished running back 8 with only 14.5 points per game. He did not miss any time. If he gets 20 touchdowns this year, that's not surprising. He's old for a running back, but he's the one I'd take a chance on because of how big he is and how he rarely misses games. He still led the league in rushing last year. He's still King Henry. He won't get any passing game work, but man, they love running the ball inside the 3, and he will destroy. What I like about the Ravens is a narrow room for points. You have Lamar Jackson, you have Derrick Henry, you have Zay Flowers, and you have Mark Andrews. And that's basically it. Zay Flowers last year, once Andrews went out, he averaged, he had above 19.5 points per game in 4 of the last 5 games. The year 2 breakout is real. I think he'll creep into that wide receiver 2.5 range. He's listed as wide receiver 32. Would not be surprised if he pushed for a solid wide receiver 2 this year. Rashad Bateman, don't worry about that. Mark Andrews, he is a stud every year. He was tight end 5 in points per game. He's listed as tight end 3, which is why I might pass on him here. And coming off the injury, I'm liking McBride better. I like Evan Ingram better. And as far as value, Jake Ferguson, I feel like is a better value. One guy to remember, Isaiah Likely. Just remember the name in case Andrews goes down. He was a stud last year, and he might be in the offense more. No need to draft him, but just remember. All right. Cincinnati. Quarterback, Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty, the real Joe Shady, Joe Burrow. Quarterback 7 in draft position. Coming off an injury in a strong defensive division. That's a good place for him as 7. He's a good quarterback to have. Last season and several seasons before, he typically starts bad. Last season, he was horrible. 3 out of his first 4 games under 10 points. But then they usually start to turn it up because 4 out of the last 5, he averaged 19.8 and up. He has an elite receiver in Jamar Chase. He has another great receiver in T. Higgins. They drafted Jermaine Burton. It should be good game script, good play calling, elite talent. Everything looks good. The coach is very fantasy friendly. So if you get him as your quarterback, if you wait a little bit, I like it. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase listed as 6th overall, wide receiver 3. He's one of those guys. There's like 5 of them that could finish wide receiver number 1 overall because he can get you a 50-point game by himself. Now, it might, like I said, it might be a slow start. He's holding out right now. We're holding in. So if he doesn't get a new contract, he may not be playing right away, which would be a big problem, obviously, for fantasy football value. But we'll see. Nothing really to say. He should be great. T. Higgins is a pass for me just because he's not getting a new contract. He'll be on a new team next year. Those are type of situations where if he's going, in the 4th or 5th round, wide receiver 27, there's just other guys I feel more sure of who have more potential to actually do well. Zach Moss versus Chase Brown. Well, this is a tough one. Zach Moss is a better pass blocker. And usually if you're a great pass blocker, you'll get on the field. Chase Brown, we don't know yet. So it's kind of seems like he's getting some of the hype. I'm just not sure. Now they're going late. Like Chase Brown is going in the 11th or 12th round. That's fine. Zach Moss is listed in the 8th round. Sorry, 9th round. Also fine. So either one of them will probably get the majority of the touches. Either one, I'm good with either. So if you get it wrong, you wasted a 9th rounder. That's fine for taking chances on guys. And if you get Chase Brown wrong, you wasted an 11th rounder. That's fine. Either guy I'm fine with. Generally, the guy who pass blocks well, they want them on the field. Mike Gesicki is generating some buzz in camp. Just remember his name. You're no need to draft him. Which brings us finally to Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns. The weirdest team in the league as far as name and color scheme. And definitely at quarterback because Joe Flacco lit the world up. And he took a lot of big risks and supported big name receivers and tight ends. And really, Watson hasn't been able to do that. Deshaun Watson had a top 5 season in the past, but after his legal troubles, he seems to have lost his mojo or lost whatever it is he had.
You are one pathetic loser. No offense.
Deshaun's listed as quarterback 17. I like Trevor Lawrence much better than him. I mean, I would take him over Cousins and Rodgers and Herbert just because I know he has that top 5 potential and he has weapons, but I don't know. Nick Chubb had a devastating injury last year. If he plays, we don't know how effective he'll be, but he's going super late, like pick 120. So that might be a steal if he's healthy. Jerome Ford also might be a steal. He was a top 20 guy when Chubb was out. He's going in the 12th or 13th round on ESPN. Both of those are kind of good values. If you're going late, if you want a piece of that backfield, there's a few backfields that are confusing. The Browns is one of them. The Bengals is another one. And the Steelers is one too. You don't really want to invest in both, but they're such late picks. I don't know. Which brings us to Amari Cooper. He almost ended one of the best teams I ever had with an 11 catch, 265 yard performance and 51.5 points. I squeaked past it by like less than a point. It was amazing. So while Deshaun Watson wasn't good last year, that didn't stop Cooper from really excelling with Watson. So they played 5 games together, 5 full games together. Cooper averaged 96 receiving yards per game. So he's going as wide receiver 32, and yet he finishes with as wide receiver 20, which is slightly skewed by a 51-point game. But I don't know. I feel like because Watson's been so bad, he's taking a discount. But if he averages 96 receiving yards per game, and 5 or 6 catches, that's 16 points a game. That's pretty good. I just think could be a value here. Little boom bust, but I think a valuable boom bust. So I would target him. Jerry Jeudy, he hasn't proven much. He's going late. I've taken him in mock drafts, taking a flyer on him. If you're in a deeper league, that's fine. Then there's the wild card, David Njoku, another player who almost ended my run. He was not great with Watson, and yet he excelled with Flacco. So it's hard to tell what you're getting here. He's a freak of nature. He's proven his athleticism over and over again. He has dominated at times and in stretches. So if you want to take a flyer here at tight end 9, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But I like other guys better, obviously. But who knows? That's the whole point of the fun of the game. You draft a team, you have all these experts saying, this guy's the guy, draft this guy. And then you're like, why did we even draft that guy? What was the point? That guy sucks. Every year there's busts. Every year there's booms. So keep working the waiver wire, keep working trades. Get your pre-draft strategy, kind of plan out who you want to take at what range. Like I said in my 12-team league, okay, if I'm going Lamb 1, then at 24 and 25, I probably should have one of these 3 guys I'm looking at. Okay, what if they're taken? Okay, then I'm probably looking here. And then let the draft come to you. If there's 2 elite receivers, if, I don't know, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson fall to me, let's pretend, then I might take those 2. Or if Jahmyr Gibbs falls to me for some reason, or Isaiah Pacheco falls, Adjust your draft strategy to what the draft gives you. Plain and simple. There'll be a draft on Tuesday night in a league that just started with Gordon Keith from The Ticket. So I'll be live streaming that as we draft, and we'll see how it goes. We'll be live streaming with Casey. It'll be really exciting. Hope you tune in.